I'm Rachel Knight. Do you want to invest in property but think you can't afford it? Now I want you to like and subscribe here because I'm going to give you lots of tips on how you can invest in property. I'm going to share with you today the secrets that property investors use to buy property and also share how banks might be giving you a helping hand in 2025 if you are a first-time buyer. Listen here for the top 5 secrets to buying property and getting started, whether you want to buy your own property or whether you want to be a property investor and generate income from property. Social media is full of people building their lifestyle through property, investing, and a lot of them make it look like they had loads of money to get started in property. But this is not the truth. Most people don't have a big pot of money to get started investing in property. In fact, it's the biggest and yet worst kept secret that property investors, listen to it, use other people's money. We call this OPM. Here I'm going to share with you tips and tricks of how to get started in property with very little money of your own. Now, before I start this, I want to say that we do not at titlesplit.com give financial advice and would always advise you to take financial and mortgage advice from an FCA regulated mortgage broker. This is simply some ideas for you to start researching and start your property journey into the future. So, the top 5 list for getting started in property investing. I'm going to start with number 1. This is great news. The UK banks have recently listed the availability of 90 and 95% mortgages, so that's 90 to 95% LTV, loan to value mortgages. This means that if you wanted to buy, say, a flat for £100,000, you would now only need 5 or 10,000 for your deposit plus your fees that also go with that. This is great news for people remortgaging, and also it's great news for first-time buyers. It could be your chance to get on the property ladder. It could enable you to buy your first home or investment property. For example, if you purchased a 2-bed flat, you could rent one room out to produce a rental income to pay towards the cost of your mortgage. This is a great way to afford a mortgage. You need affordability on your own right, but it is a great way to supplement your income and help you pay those bills in your new flat. So why don't you think of that being your first own property and your first investment property? Then the next thing, UK prices have grown over the last 33 years. House prices always grow over time. Even if we have slight dips and slight corrections, they always continue to go up. So from 1992, where the house price was £52,663, that was the average house price, to it now in January 2025 was 270,450. So that is a massive growth of around £220,000. Okay, it's 413.54% higher than it was 32 years ago. If you imagine buying that first flat now for a value of £100,000, and you now have your first property, your first rung on the property ladder. You keep it, and using the current growth figures, that flat in 32 years' time would be worth £513,000. £513,540 to be precise. Now, you might say, oh, well, house prices are not growing as fast as they used to. And yes, it might not be 513, but it might be £413,000. The fact is, property will continue to grow when you give it time. And if you own property, then you are going to enjoy capital growth. Even if the growth is slower than the last 33 years, over time, properties bought in the right areas will grow. So that's number 1. Number 2, you may want to buy an investment property for income to replace your job income. The biggest secret in property today is that landlords and property developers use other people's money, OPM. There are rules and regulations around this, but you can use private finance from high net worth individuals who are sophisticated investors to invest in property. You can actually pay the high net worth investor interest on their money. You need to understand all of the rules around this, but a high proportion of property investors today use this method to build substantial portfolios of properties. Again, we cannot give financial advice, but if you learn to do this and you learn to do it properly and get educated in this strategy, you will be able to invest using other people's money. Okay, now there's other people's money that we use as well. So number 3, we're going to talk about a different way investing, and this is called a joint venture partnership. This is where you find someone who also wants to be in property with a different skill set to you, who you get to know over a period of time. For example, a really good example of where this might work in communities like mine at titlesplit.com is we might have a builder who joins up with somebody who's a high net worth individual, and the builder can build the skills to refurb and refurbish property, and the high net worth individual can bring the funds. These two people could form a joint venture partnership. You, in this circumstance, would need to do high levels of due diligence and be prepared for due diligence to be done on you. But this is how many partnerships are formed. Often in these partnerships, one business partner will have the time and one business partner will have the funds. It is essential that due diligence is done and that you take advice from the relevant professionals when needed. Number 4, finding off-market deals. This is an amazing way to do property, and people do, it's little understood and people don't know how to do it. There are thousands of people who, for one reason or another, will not place their properties for sale on the open market, or sometimes cannot place them for sale on the open market. For example, retiring landlords who may not want their tenants to know they are selling. They are afraid of losing rental income. This is a great way to find property, and often you can negotiate good prices on these types of properties. One of our favourite things to teach our clients at titlesplit.com is how to find small off-market blocks of apartments. These are small blocks of flats between 2 and 5 flats where the flats are on one freehold title at the land registry. This is called an MUFB, a multi-unit freehold block. We show our clients exactly how to find these off market. It's easy when you know how. And we also show our clients how to negotiate to get the best deal. And then finally, we teach them how to title split for 25 to 35% instant capital uplift in most instances. So I want you to think about back to that £100,000 and think about getting instant capital uplift of £25,000 to £35,000. That's what we call instant capital uplift. And in title splits, this can be done by splitting. Now, number 5, and this is my favorite strategy of all, and I combine it with everything else I've talked about in number 1 to 4. And this is, wait for it, securing a property with a down payment of £1. Have you got £1 in your pocket or in your tap app now? I bet you have. So this strategy enables us to secure the right to buy a property with a £1 down payment. You then manage the property on behalf of the vendor or landlord until you buy it between 1 and 5 years later. In fact, we call that rent to buy. Okay? The great thing is you can add value before you buy the property, but the purchase price is agreed at the outset. So as the market rises, you've agreed the price at the price of today. Very savvy property investors and my clients are using this strategy to add value prior to purchase. This can enable rental income before you even purchase the property. So you could be paying the landlord a small rent and getting a bigger rent yourself whilst you are purchasing the property. It is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how landlords and developers are building wealth and income from property. So if you've got £1 and you think that you would be able to negotiate with our help, go to our website at titlesplit.com to find out how we can help you with these strategies.